Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into the world of cut-resistant fabrics. We've got a pretty comprehensive industry report here, lots of data. And for you, our listener, if you like getting up to speed quickly, we're basically pulling out the highlights, the really key stuff about this surprisingly complex market.
Exactly. Think of this as your shortcut, really. We've waded through the numbers, the trends, looked at what the major companies are doing, all from this report. Our goal, just to give you the most interesting, most crucial insights into cut-resistant fabrics for 2025, and maybe a look beyond, too.
Okay, and just to set the scene, get this. The global market for these really tough fabrics, it's projected to hit USD 680 million in 2025, so quite substantial. That's the starting line. Where does it go from there? What's the overall picture?
Well, looking past 2025, the growth is pretty solid. This report suggests the market could reach about USD 911.1 million by 2033. That works out to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of 5.60% between 2025 and 2033. So yeah, steady, significant growth.
Right, 5.6%. That's definitely a strong upward curve. What's actually driving that? It's not just more accidents, is it?
No, not exactly. The main things pushing this are, first, the growing demand for personal protective equipment,
Yeah.
PPE,
Okay.
in big industries like manufacturing and construction. And tied right into that is the increasing number and enforcement of workplace safety rules around the world.
Makes sense. Better safety, more regulations, drives demand. Okay, let's break it down by geography. How does the market look region by region for 2025 and the growth forecasts?
Right. So North America, they're the big player right now. They've got like over 40% of the whole market. Their market size for 2025 is estimated at USD 2,323.60 million. And the growth projection, the CAGR from 25 to 33, is about 4.1%.
Over $2 billion. Wow, that's a huge chunk. Why is North America so dominant here?
Well, it really comes down to those safety regulations we mentioned. North America has some really strict occupational safety rules. OSHA, ANSI, NIOSH in the U.S., CCOHS up in Canada. These groups often require specific types of cut-resistant gear. There are standards like ANSIZIA 105-2016 for gloves, NFPA 2112 for flame resistance. Even the European EN 388 standard is influential there. Plus, the report does mention a rise in workplace injuries in some key sectors, which, naturally pushes demand for better protection.
Okay, so strict rules and maybe a higher awareness of injury risks are really boosting the market there. What about Europe? How do they stack up?
Europe's also a major player. They account for just over 30% of the global market. For 2025, their market size is around USD 1821.20 million, and their projected CAGR is a bit higher than North America's at 4.7%.
Still very significant. Any particular countries leading the way in Europe?
Yeah, definitely. The UK looks strong, about USD 306 million in 2025 and a 5.5% CAGR. Germany's actually bigger in market size, around 360 million, with 4.9% growth. Then you've got France, Russia, Italy, Spain, all contributing. And interestingly, even smaller countries like Sweden and Luxembourg show pretty healthy growth rates. So it's quite widespread.
Okay, good picture of Europe. Now let's pivot to Asia Pacific. That region's known for fast growth, right? What's the story there?
Asia Pacific, or
Yeah.
APAC. Yeah, this is where the growth numbers get really interesting. In 2025, their market's estimated at USD 1,507.2 million, so about 23% of the global total. But, and this is the key part, their projected CAGR from 2025 to 2033 is a striking 8.3%. That makes it the fastest growing region by a good margin.
8.3%. Wow. Okay, what's behind that kind of acceleration?
It's a combination of factors, really. You've got some of the world's fastest growing economies there, massive industrial expansion. Think about manufacturing in China. India's making India push, plus advanced industries in Japan and South Korea. As these economies grow and industrialize, the need for better safety standards and PPE, including these fabrics, just ramps up. China, for example, is also putting more focus on enforcing workplace safety.
So economic growth plus a rising focus on safety. A
Yeah.
powerful mix driving APAC. Got it. What about South America?
South America holds a smaller piece, just over 5% in 2025.
Yeah.
That's about USD 238.64 million.
Right.
But their growth is also pretty strong, projected at a 6.3% CAGR. Brazil and Argentina are the main ones there,
Yeah.
driven by manufacturing, construction, mining, the usual suspects.
And the Middle East?
The Middle East is around 2% of the market, about USD 251.2 million in 2025. But look at the growth rate projected CAGR of 6.9%. So growing quite fast. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are key. And you see specific things driving it, like Qatar's huge infrastructure projects for their National Vision 2030, Lots of construction needs protection, and Turkey's got booming automotive and manufacturing sectors adding to the demand.
Interesting how specific projects can really move the needle in certain regions. Okay, last one, Africa.
Africa is about 1% of the global market currently, around USD 138.16 million for 2025. The projected CAGR is 5.9%. South Africa is the biggest market, and Nigeria's growth is linked to its oil and gas and mining sectors expanding.
Right. That gives us a really clear map of the global situation.
Mhm.
Let's shift gears now and talk about the fabrics themselves. What are they actually made of? What makes them cut resistant?
Well, the report suggests that ceramic-based materials are likely dominant. It's mainly because they're incredibly hard, giving them really high cut resistance. So you see them in military gear, law enforcement, heavy industry, places with serious cut hazards. Plus, they often have good thermal resistance, which is a bonus for things like metalworking or firefighting gear.
Right. The super tough jobs need super tough materials. What else is important?
High-performance polyethylene HPPE that's highlighted as the fastest growing segment. This includes materials like UHMWPE. It's incredibly strong stuff, like 15 times stronger than steel by weight, believe it or not. But it's much lighter than aramids or steel fibers.
Wow. 15 times stronger than steel.
By weight, yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing material science. Think of it like super strong plastic fibers woven tightly. This makes it great for gloves, protective clothing, where you need strength, but also dexterity and comfort. It's also got low friction, which helps with durability. The report also mentions others, of course. Quartz, fused silica, and aramids. You probably know aramid best as Kevlar. Also great heat and cut resistance.
Okay, so a whole toolkit of materials for different needs. How are these fabrics rated or classified? I see different levels mentioned.
Yeah, they're typically classified by resistance level. For 2025, resistance level 3 is expected to have the biggest market share. These offer, let's say, moderate protection. Good for jobs like automotive assembly, food processing, light manufacturing, places where you handle sharpish things regularly, but not like super heavy-duty hazards.
Okay, level 3 for moderate risks. What if the risks are higher?
That's where level 4 comes in, and that segment is growing rapidly. Level 4 fabrics are for heavy-duty protection, think sharp blades, sheet metal handling, glass, heavy machinery. The push towards safety standards like EN 388 and ISO 13997 is really driving demand for level 4, especially in construction and industries using heavy equipment. And yeah, there are even higher levels mentioned, level 5, level 6, and probably other niche categories too.
So a clear tier system based on the danger level. Where are we actually seeing these fabrics used? What are the main applications?
Well, the biggest slice, not surprisingly, is personal protective equipment PPE. That's the largest application segment for 2025. Like we've talked about manufacturing, construction, oil and gas, mining, automotive, aerospace, glass handling. They all rely heavily on cut-resistant PPE. And here's something interesting. The report notes that increasing automation in these fields is actually boosting demand for high-performance PPE.
Wait, more automation means more need for PPE. How does that work?
It sounds counterintuitive, right? But think about it. Automation might mean fewer workers overall, but the ones remaining often work very closely with sophisticated, potentially dangerous machinery. So the risk profile changes, and those workers need even better protection. It's about the type of risk.
Ah, I see. Fewer people, but maybe facing higher consequence risks if something goes wrong. Makes sense. What other applications are significant?
Sportswear is another area growing quickly. Contact sports, extreme sports, ice hockey, fencing, cycling, motor racing, martial arts athletes need protection from cuts and scrapes. The report even mentions specifics like goalies in soccer or refs in ice hockey needing special gear to protect against skate blades. And then there are other uses, things like automobile upholstery, some packaging materials, bags, luggage, even hurricane curtains apparently, and other sorts of specialized uses.
Wow, from factories to hockey rinks to hurricane prep. That's quite a range. Okay, let's dig into the market dynamics a bit more. What are the core forces really pushing and pulling this market?
Right, the key drivers.
Yeah.
Well, number one is the growing focus on industrial and occupational safety. It's paramount. The report mentioned an OSHA statistic, 5,283 fatal work injuries in the U.S. in 2023. That's a pretty stark reminder of why protection is needed. Second, the healthcare medical sector is expanding its use of protective clothing, gloves, surgical drapes, and post-COVID, there's more focus on antimicrobial properties too. And third, just a broader awareness, really. Companies are seeing that investing in safety isn't just about compliance. It affects productivity, worker morale. It's just good business.
So regulations, healthcare needs, and a better understanding of safety's value. Makes sense. Are there any roadblocks? Anything holding the market back?
The main one mentioned is cost. The raw materials for these high-tech fabrics, Kevlar, Dyneema, Spectra, Twiron, they aren't cheap. And the manufacturing processes, the weaving, the coatings, that adds cost too. So this high cost can be a barrier, especially for smaller businesses, SMEs, that might struggle to afford the best gear.
Yeah, cost is always a factor, isn't it? Okay, looking ahead now. What are the key trends we should keep an eye on in this space? What's coming next?
Well, one big trend is sustainability. There's a growing demand for eco-friendly options. People are looking at biodegradable materials like hemp or bio-based aramids, also recyclable fabrics, closed-loop systems, and you're seeing more focus on green certifications like Oecotex, GOTS, Blue Sign. It's about making protective gear more environmentally responsible.
That's really positive. Good to see sustainability making inroads here, too. What about the tech side? Any cool innovations in the fabrics themselves?
Oh yeah, definitely. Lots happening there. Nanotechnology is being used, things like nano coatings, adding graphene to make fabrics tougher and more flexible without making them bulky. Then there's the whole area of smart textiles. Imagine fabrics with tiny embedded sensors that can actually detect a cut or monitor temperature, giving real-time feedback.
Wow, smart fabrics.
Yeah, it's moving beyond just passive blocking. And companies are developing hybrid materials, blending different fibers like aramid, UHMWPE, maybe even fine steel wire, to get the best properties of each for even better strength and protection. The report mentioned Warroad Hockey using Dyneema, that's a type of HPPE, in their gear as a real-world example.
That smart textile angle is fascinating fabrics that actively monitor themselves. Okay, any recent company news that stood out in the report?
Yeah, a couple of things. Last October, Lenzing Group launched a new system to identify their specific flame-resistant fibers. It helps with traceability in the supply chain, making sure the protective wear is genuine. And just this past May, Nam Line Global worked with the Tainan City Fire Bureau, developing new protective vests for firefighters and emergency crews using their cut-resistant materials. Real-world application right there.
Yeah, those examples really show the practical impact. So who are the main companies competing in this space?
It's described as a competitive landscape as you'd expect. Companies compete on innovation, materials, sustainability, and meeting those safety standards. The report lists several key players, not ranked or anything, but names like DuPont, Namlan Global, Beijing Tongyi Song, Shanghai Xianing, PPSS Group, Norfab, several others too. It's a mix of big chemical companies and more specialized textile firms.
Okay, so a lively market with lots going on. Let's try and wrap this up then. What are the main takeaways from our deep dive into the 2025 cut-resistant fabric market?
Sure. I think the key things are it's already a big market in 2025, USD 600, 280 million, driven fundamentally by safety needs across many industries. It's set for pretty strong growth, especially in Asia Pacific. Materials like HPPE are really gaining traction because of their strength-to-weight ratio.
And we're seeing a wide range of products from level 3 up to higher levels, tailored for specific risks, finding uses not just in industry, but also in sports and other niche areas.
Exactly. And the big trends to watch are definitely innovation, new materials, smart textiles, and the growing push for sustainability. Cost is still a factor, but safety regulations and tech advances seem to be keeping the momentum going strong.
So a USD 600 and 280 million number in 2025, poised for growth, driven by safety, innovation, and increasingly sustainability. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Looking ahead, what totally new uses might we find for these super strong fabrics? Or what kind of material breakthrough could be just around the corner? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this.
My pleasure. It was interesting stuff.